Ah, look at how peaceful and quiet this small little town in Pennsylvania is. So charming. Hey, little bird. And then you have the dangerous parts of Pennsylvania, where people get shot and die. It's too bad we have to deal with the shot and die part, but it's Pennsylvania. What did you expect? There's some great places here, and then you have parts of Philadelphia which are just embarrassing, considering that's where our nation began, and with so much promise and potential. Hey, what's up? Billy Cop. We got some perps out in an alleyway that are hiding, and if it wasn't for their elusiveness, we would have captured them already. That's how it is out here in the streets of Philly. Just sad and pathetic. Job security, I guess. But it's not just Philadelphia. There's dangerous places all over Pennsylvania. You should follow me around. I'll show you what I'm talking about. There he is. Pennsylvania is so ghetto, tons of people shooting ammo. Every night you have to hide and run away from all of the dangerous. We're going to begin our tour of the most dangerous cities in Pennsylvania with a quick stop in Allentown. And it's quick because it's Allentown. We don't want to lose our pocketbook. It's the third biggest city in the state. Just over 121,000 people call Allentown home. It's pretty run down and poor here, on top of being dangerous. Allentown had the 7th highest burglary rate in the state last year, and residents had a 1 in 43 chance of being a victim of a property crime. The number of car thefts has increased over last year, with 243 cars being snatched off the streets. It's so bad here, the county held a free VIN etching event to help residents keep their cars from getting stolen. Arson is also a growing problem in Allentown too. On the bright side, Allentown's among the least violent places we're going to talk about, with the lowest murder rate, but there were still 7 murders here last year, and they're on track to exceed that number this year, including this one that took place in broad daylight. A 15-year-old shot and killed a man outside of a local pizza shop in the middle of the afternoon, just for no reason at all. What the hell? The shop owner said, "I hear pop pop. I was watching my phone. There were people, they were running, and I was scared. It really happened. Something really wrong." An anti-violence group says the crime in the area is getting worse too, and we need to take back our neighborhoods. Yeah, you think? At number 9, we have Wilkes-Barre, located about a half hour southwest of Scranton. Wilkes-Barre is a medium-sized city with about 40,000 people, but the population's going down, and it's no surprise why. The number of violent crimes in Wilkes-Barre has increased 15% over the last year, which makes the violent crime rate 62% above the national average. You have a 1 in 168 chance of being robbed, raped, assaulted, or even killed each year you call this place home. And Wilkes-Barre had the 10th highest rate of rape cases in the state too. That's just sick. Just last month, a woman was killed by this guy, her ex-roommate, who thought she might be working with police on an investigation. Turns out she wasn't. When neighbors were asked if the neighborhood was quiet or not, one neighbor said, "Off and on, it has its days. There's another murder up there, one over there. Now we got one here." So, yeah, not a quiet neighborhood. An argument led to a shooting in another Wilkes-Barre neighborhood, and one neighbor heard the gunshots. She says, "I was sitting on the couch watching wrestling, and I heard 4 or 5 pops, and I wasn't sure if it was shots or what." The same neighbor says she is tired of the violence in her part of the city, saying, "We had 3 or 4 here. 2 weeks ago, we had one down the block. Yeah, I'm sick of it, but what the hell are you going to do?" What the hell is right, lady? It's not even safe to be a pizza boy around Wilkes-Barre. Aside from the violent crime, you have a 1 in 47 chance of being the victim of a property crime in Wilkes-Barre every year. There were 616 cases of larceny in the area last year, so if you hit it big at the Mohegan Sun, you probably shouldn't post it to Facebook. Our 8th most dangerous place in PA is probably not a surprise. It's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh crime rates are 44% higher than the national average and 110% higher than the state average. Overall, you have a 1 in 28 chance of becoming the victim of a crime each year that you call the Steel City home. If you lived here for a year, you'd also have a 1 in 173 chance of being robbed, assaulted, raped, or murdered every year. And crime's going up too. So far this year in parts of Pittsburgh, crime is up 80% from the same time last year. What the hell? Folks who live here wake up to news of an overnight shooting nearly every morning they turn on WTAE. Not too long ago, an argument over a slice of pizza led to a shooting on Pittsburgh's south side. And like most big cities, property crime is also a problem here in Pittsburgh. If you lived here, you'd have a 1 in 34 chance of having your home broken into or your stuff stolen. Folks in one part of the city say teenagers are terrorizing their neighborhood, pulling the fire alarm at the senior center, lighting trash cans on fire, stealing packages off of porches, and vandalizing security cameras. One neighbor said, "I just want them to stop. I shouldn't have to worry when I go to sleep what's going to happen to my house. I feel like I live in fear." Another neighbor had a message for the group saying, "You don't need a reality check. I don't know what it's going to take, but if you don't stop now, I can't imagine what you're going to be like in a couple years." Me either. At number 7, Harrisburg, the state capital. Harrisburg crime rates are 80% higher than the state average, and the violent crime here is 146% above the national average. If you lived in Harrisburg for a year, you'd have a 1 in 111 chance of being attacked, raped, shot at, or killed. Harrisburg has the 5th highest murder rate in the state and the 6th highest robbery rate in the state, too. Police Commissioner Thomas Carter says his department's trying to reduce the number of violent crimes. He said, "I want to stop the shootings. I know we can't stop them all, but what we can do is take the guns off the street." Since 2015, Harrisburg cops have taken 1,300 guns off the streets. We've taken AR-15s from juveniles. I believe the youngest person we took a gun from was a 10-year-old. 10-year-olds, people? When I was 10, I was playing with baseball cards and water guns. We're going just north of Pittsburgh for our 6th most dangerous city in PA, New Kensington. There's only 12,000 people here, but the population's going down fast. This place has a reputation for being a boring place and not much going on. But don't let that small city stereotype fool you. This place is downright dangerous. The violent crime rate is 44% above the national average. Sure, 65 violent crimes in a year doesn't sound like much, but when we're talking per capita, it's off the chain. Just about every week, a resident's the victim of an attack. And apparently, nothing's off limits. Get this, 3 guests at a baby shower were shot after the father-to-be got into an argument about how the gifts were going to be transported home. This is a real story. This dude seriously pulled a 9mm on somebody because he didn't want to haul a crib home. And folks in New Ken can't keep their hands to themselves either. This city's the 8th most dangerous for property crimes. If you lived here for a year, you'd have a 1 in 37 chance of having your stuff stolen or damaged. But I'm sure if you lie low and have some street smarts, there's probably nothing to be scared of in broad daylight. You know, unless you go to a baby shower. The 5th most dangerous city in Pennsylvania is Wilkinsburg, located less than 10 miles east of Pittsburgh. Man, is everywhere near Pittsburgh dangerous? Obviously, being so close to a big city means a spillover of crime, but Wilkinsburg can only put so much blame on the Steel City. The folks of Wilkinsburg sure keep their police department busy. The borough has the highest murder rate in the state, with 11 murders happening last year. That's just insane for a place with 15,000 people. What's even more insane? One of these murders happened at an infant's birthday party, and in another instance, a guy killed his pregnant girlfriend. What the hell? Neighbors in Wilkinsburg are concerned that the violence is growing, especially after 2 homicides in the same row of townhomes this year. One neighbor said, "We're just worried. You know, we have to live here, our kids, our grandkids." On top of that, Wilkinsburg has the 3rd highest burglary rate in the state of Pennsylvania. There's at least 1 property crime every day of the year here. At number 4, Pottstown, located about 40 miles northwest of Philadelphia. While Pottstown's the least violent per capita of the cities in the top 4, the violent crime rate's 89% higher than the national average, and Pottstown's only safer than 8% of all U.S. cities. Pottstown has some concerning stats, like having the 2nd highest rate of rape cases in the state. That's about 3 cases per month, which for a small city is all too common. If you live in Pottstown for a year, you'd have a 1 in 140 chance of being robbed, assaulted, raped, or murdered. And from looking at the headlines, it seems a lot of the violent crime is happening among young people. In September, a fight that started between 2 teenage girls led to 2 people being shot and no arrests have been made. A bunch of neighbors are concerned with the rise in crime. One neighbor said, "It's been going up lately." It has been. I mean, compared to growing up here, it's getting kind of bad, and it's getting a little scary, especially for the kids out here. Another neighbor agreed, saying, "I think it's gone up a lot. This used to be a really quiet town, but it's gone up a lot." Pottstown also has the 3rd highest property crime rate in the state. If you live here, better lock your doors or install a security system or have a garage. A car is stolen about once a week here, and you have a 1 in 33 chance of having your stuff snatched or damaged. Here we go back to the Pittsburgh area again. McKeesport ranks as the 3rd most dangerous place to call home in Pennsylvania. The overall crime rate in McKeesport's 150% higher than the national average and more than 250% higher than the statewide average. It's a small place. I mean, there's only 22,000 people here, but it's dropping fast. Look at the place. McKeesport has the second highest violent crime rate in Pennsylvania, with 7 murders last year. If you call this place home for a year, you'd have a 1 in 65 chance of being robbed, assaulted, raped, or murdered. And even scarier, a lot of the violent crimes go unsolved because witnesses in McKeesport won't talk. A recent case in McKeesport went national after the pregnant daughter of an NFL player was shot to death. Again, nobody was arrested. A spokesman for that family said, "It happens all too often. It's much of the narrative in our city." The city's mayor says he's sick of it. I hope so. When the community doesn't cooperate, doesn't get involved, you almost enable future acts of violence. Until these individuals realize that there are people who will talk, who are willing to come forward, they're just going to think they have the freedom to go after someone. This is just one of the tragedies that happen every week in McKeesport. And if you lay low and you're able to avoid the violence, you're still not safe here. The city isn't exactly low on property crime. People living here have a 1 in 36 chance of being robbed every year. And that is the highest burglary rate in the whole state. The second most dangerous place in Pennsylvania, that would be Chester, located just outside of Philadelphia. Chester's the oldest city in the state, so you'd think they'd have figured out how to run their city by now, but it's clear they just can't get their crime under control. 34,000 people call Chester home, and they probably wish they did not. The violent crime rate in Chester is 277% above the national average. Folks living here have a 1 in 72 chance of being robbed, assaulted, raped, shot at, or murdered every year. In fact, Chester's the 3rd most violent spot in Pennsylvania, and it has the 2nd highest number of murders per capita statewide. And it seems a lot of the crime's random here. Like, a 7-year-old girl was shot multiple times while she was sitting in the passenger seat outside of a shop and save. One neighbor said, "Come on now, enough's enough. Too many kids are getting hurt over dumb stuff. We need to stop it." Another neighbor said, "They carrying these guns and they just shooting to shoot. They gotta stop." Unfortunately, this is just too common. There's still bullet holes in storefronts from previous shootings. Chester also has the 2nd highest rate of burglaries in the state, with one taking place nearly every day of the year. People who live here have a 1 in 33 chance of being robbed every year, and that is just pathetic. And the most dangerous city in Pennsylvania is, drumroll please, of course it's Philadelphia. No surprise there. Philadelphia is known as the city of brotherly love, but unless it's completely normal for you to shoot and rob your brother, they may want to rethink that name. There's over 1 million people living here, so it's no surprise the crime rates are so high. 40 out of every 1,000 residents experience some sort of crime every year they call Philadelphia home. Last year, there were more than 63,000 crimes here. 1 out of 32 Philadelphia residents is robbed, and violent crime affects 1 in 110 residents. And get this, more than 1/3 of the shootings have happened in just 5 zip codes in North Philadelphia: Hunting Park, West Philadelphia, Kingsessing, Kensington, and Port Richmond. Of the 10 largest cities in the country, Philadelphia now has the highest per capita murder rate of all. There have been 429 homicides so far this year here, and as the death toll continues to climb at a record-breaking pace, some city leaders are demanding action from the mayor. But the mayor refuses to declare a state of emergency, saying that would only have a symbolic impact. Whatever. Meanwhile, Philadelphia's police captains urging residents to keep a closer watch on their kids. We need to get parents more involved with their kids. Honestly, I'm not blaming the parent, but I think if we can get more involved, just like everyone else out here is involved, we can make a difference. Well, hopefully parents can stay involved and get their kids off the streets, but shame, shame, shame on you, Philadelphia. The good folks in this city deserve better. This is just tragic. Now, after all that tragic talk, I'm sure you're curious about where the safest places in Pennsylvania are. Now, they're going to be places that most people can't afford, which is another problem we have in this country. But if you move to places like Collegeville, Swarthmore, Canonsburg, or State College, you'd be a lot safer than if you lived in the cities we just talked about. So if you got the bucks, move to one of those places, because the ones we just talked about are out of control, people. Pennsylvania is so ghetto, tons of people shooting ammo. Every night you have to hide and run away from all of the dangerous. Hey guys, so if anything I just talked about upset you or made you sad or mad, well then do something about it. Call your local leaders and demand change. Chip in and help those in need. Make your community better, because communities don't get better without hard work and determination. America's a great place. It just needs some more love and pride.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.
And are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. You can get my email in the description to find out how I can help you find your perfect relocation.